is the new Skoda Enyaq, the best all-round electric SUV. Well, in this video, I'm going to find out by talking to you around the exterior design, the interior design. I'm going to take it for a drive. I'm going to see how quick it is to 60 miles an hour using my specialist timing gear, of course. I'm also going to try and work out the true real-world range of this car by doing some maths. I'm obviously also going to tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. First thing I'm going to tell you, though, is where the name comes from, Enyaq. Well, it's from the Irish female name Enya, which means source for life, which is obviously appropriate with an electric car such as this, darling. And then Skoda's that usual thing where they whack a Q on the end of the name for every SUV they do. So Kodiaq, Karoq, Kamik, and Enyaq. You get it? Okay, I'm Matt Watson. You're watching Carwow.
Buying a new car? Then head to Carwow, and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start off this video by talking about the price. So Skoda UK has given me this price list because, as you can see, this car has come over from the Czech Republic. Actually, it's not called the Czech Republic anymore now, is it? It's something like Czechia. Yeah, so they give me a price list and it starts from just under £32,000, and that includes a £2,500 government grant. But if you want to see if you can save even more money on top of the government grant, click on the pop-out banner up there to go to Carwow to see if you've got any offers on the new Enyaq. Now, if you want to do that at a later date, you simply Google "Help Me Carwow" and my team and I will help you choose the right car for you and get it for a fair price from one of our trusted dealers. Now let's talk about the design of the Enyaq, because to me it just looks like yet another Skoda SUV. It doesn't stand out in the same way that Volkswagen's ID4 does from the rest of its SUV range. You've got a big Skoda badge there, got the Enyaq badge over on the far side, not in the middle like some other manufacturers are now doing. It's a bit old school. Then you've got the IV badge there, which doesn't mean that this car needs to take its electricity intravenously. I stands for intelligent and V stands for vehicle. It's to do with electric cars and Skoda and stuff like that. And then you've got the battery size there, 60, which means this is the entry-level model. All of these EVs have a slightly extended roof spoiler to help improve aerodynamics, to maximise your range, whereas down the bottom there are no exhaust pipes, obviously, because there's no exhaust because it's electric. They haven't put any fake ones there just for show, which is good. Now the actual colour of this bumper changes depending on which version of the Enyaq you go for. Moving down the side, first thing I notice is this rear end does look quite bulbous, like it's sort of got a lot of junk in the trunk. As for alloy wheel sizes, they start off at 19s. These are optional 20s, though they do go up to 21s. In fact, 20s don't look oversized at all. I would upgrade to the 21s. Now you get chrome surround option on the entry-level car for the windows and for the roof bars. Normally black, but you can pay extra for a styling pack. Though as you go up the range, you get this kind of stuff as standard. There are some bold creases on the doors, which are quite nice. Then there's this. So no fake exhaust, but weird fake vent here. Why? There's another fake thing here at the front, which is just bizarre. There is a fake grille. It's all blanked out, but it's still a grille. Ask the guy from Skoda why they've done this, and apparently it's to get people used to the transition over to electric cars. They don't want to just shock them by having no grille, because they'll be like, that doesn't look like a car. So they just want to ease people into that. So eventually we'll lose the grille, but for this SUV we do have a grille, even though it obviously doesn't need one. What is interesting though is as you go lower down, this is quite a front splitter, isn't it? It's like the kind of thing you'd expect to find on a sports car, not a Skoda electric SUV. And you also have some vents here. Once again, that's for aero, improve the airflow over the wheels to maximise your range. Oh, and as standard, all cars get LED headlights, so you can upgrade to matrix LEDs, which will do that thing with a blank out part their beam so you don't dazzle oncoming drivers. And finally, I want to tell you about this. I like this section of the bonnet which is indented. It reminds me of the bonnet on the BMW M3. Now overall though, I think this is a very so-so looking car. It's not in your face, it's not particularly exciting, but nor is it particularly offensive. It's just like, all right. Welcome to the inside of the Enyaq, and obviously being a European car, then the steering wheel is on the wrong side, but we'll continue anyway. Interior design wise, it's nice. This is actually the entry-level loft model, yet it doesn't feel entry-level at all. I like what they've done with the fabric and the door and on the dash. It just adds a feeling of quality and modernism. That's so cheesy, really. Anyway, materials are squidgy. That armrest is nice and soft and squidgy. That's really soft and squidgy, which is important when you're doing long journeys. You don't want achy elbows now, do you? The only complaint that I have is that as you start to go a bit deeper, things start to get a bit scratchy and cheap, which is fine. I'm not so sure about this, so they've cheaped out on the plastic here for the door handle, which you used to pull it shut. They should have just covered it with something, or just spent a bit extra cash on that bit there. It's my only complaint. I do like the interior design overall. It's quite easy to get an ideal driving position as well. Look, there's plenty of adjustment in the steering wheel and the seats. This car has the upgraded comfort seat for the driver, so it's electrically operated. You have to pay 400 quid extra for that, and if you want to have the passenger seat electrically operated as well, that's an extra 400 quid on top. But yeah, good driving position, and it's quite a practical car in here as well. So you've got lots of cubby spaces. So underneath this armrest, there's that little storage tray there where I've got my Skoda anti-back, and then there's some more space in there. I've got some cables. It's funny that I've got cables in there because there's no actual place to plug in a phone in there, which is bizarre. Don't know why I did that. Maybe you can pay extra and have some extra USBs in there. The main USBs are just down here, and they're USB-Cs because this is a modern electric car, though this car also has, look, wireless charging. There is one slight thing I'm a bit disappointed in, and that's the fit and finish of this pad. Look, it's coming loose, and now it's definitely come loose because I pulled at it. Oh well, let's move on. A couple of cup holders here, and you've got an extra area here which is probably just about the right size for my Skoda water that they gave me. This little device is your gear selector. I quite like that. Why does it need to take up much space? Because it's just effectively electrical switch. That's good. And there's some more storage underneath here, quite a lot. And I've got my FP3 mask under there for being extra cautious. And of course, look, you've got big door bins, and they've done that thing Volkswagen Group tend to do. They've lined it with felt, and the felt they've actually lined it with is so soft, actually. It's like the softest felt I've ever felt in any door pocket. Anyway, the door bin's big and things won't rattle in there. But there's even a little extra cubby space here, which seems a bit over-engineered because they've got a release button rather than just pulling it like in most other cars. So you press this button here and it pops down, and once again, that's lined with felt, although it's not quite as soft as in the door. Finally, glove box lined with felt as well, decent size, all very practical. And that brings me on to the infotainment system, because it's nice that they've got some shortcut buttons here on the dash for the climate. So if you want to pop up the climate, you press this and then you can get into the climate menus. But then to control all the actual climate stuff, it's a touch screen, and some of the other functions like temperature are lower down here. And it's a bit annoying that this screen is a bit further back, because then you could rest your hand on it, but you can't. So you're kind of doing that when you're driving and jabbing around. So the screen is nice and large, 13 inches on every single model, and the graphics are all right. There's a bit of lag to it, but the menus are logically laid out. Thing is that it's the same system that you get in the Volkswagen cars, because obviously Skoda is part of the Volkswagen Group, and it's not great. In pretty much every Volkswagen I've used, it's been glitchy. There's been various problems with connecting my Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which you can do wirelessly, but it's a bit temperamental. Another thing that I found is that the voice commands can be temperamental. Sometimes they work really well, sometimes they don't. So I'll try them on this Skoda. Now, to activate them, you can do it using your voice, and they've decided to call their assistant Laura, which could be annoying if your wife or girlfriend is called Laura, because then it'll keep piping up. But anyway, hey Laura. Hey Laura.
What would you like to do?
Set temperature to 22 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, it did it. That worked fine. Hey Laura.
Pardon?
Hey Laura.
Enniskillen, Laura. Please say the name of the street.
F you.
Bargoed, Vaucluse.
Only in Wales could there be a place that sounds rather like F you. That's genius. One last question. Hey Laura.
What would you like to do?
Can you tell me if the Skoda Enyaq is better than a Volkswagen ID4? Just thinking about it.
One moment, please.
Still?
Sorry.
Just sorry. That's it. Anyway, you get a digital driver's display standard, though this is quite a bit smaller than the big screen. It's actually less than 6 inches.
You can use voice call contact. Please connect.
Shut up, Laura, just go away. Hey, at least you responded to that. I think any other Laura would have told me to go F myself. Anyway, digital driver's display is quite small, but it's got all the information you really need, and you can control it using these buttons on the steering wheel, which are actual physical buttons, not like in the Volkswagen ID4 where they're weird touch-sensitive buttons which just drive you crazy. These are much easier to use, so thank God for that. And I actually quite like the steering wheel as well. It's sort of like a clown's face that's smiling at you. Yeah, I can't even see that now. In fact, it's a little bit odd. I've changed my mind. I don't like the steering wheel so much anymore now. It's freaking me out. Underneath its skin, the Skoda Enyaq is pretty much identical mechanically to a Volkswagen ID4, though its body is about 7 cent. I don't know what I'm going to like. Is about 7 centimeters longer. As a result, it feels even more spacious here in the back of the Skoda compared to the Volkswagen. Loads of knee room. Headroom, that is really good as well. And because it's an electric car, you've got all your batteries underneath the floor. You end up with a flat floor because there's no drive shafts, prop shafts or exhaust systems going from the front to the back. So loads of room for everyone's feet if you need to carry 3 people in the back at once. And even this central seat seems okay with decent headroom. So you could carry 3 adults in the back of this car if you needed to. There's plenty of room as well back here to fit a child seat, even those bulky rear facing seats. And look, you've got flip down ISOFIX covers, so it's dead easy to get the anchor points, and you won't lose the covers either because they're attached. Another nice feature is this, look, fold this armrest down and the cup holders are covered, so you don't end up putting your arm in them. They pop out there, so if you need to put bottles in there, you can do. Although look, if someone accelerates, you know, with that instant electric power, boom, that's just going to drop out of there. So something to think about. Then you do have some through loading as well if you need to carry really long items and 2 people either side. Door bins are large, but here in the back they are not lined with the felt, so you could get rattling noises from back here. In fact, things do feel a little bit cheaper back here. Like look, that's hard plastic rather than the soft touch in the front, but still you get the cool design that you do get in the front as well. Another thing I like is this, look, you've got pockets here, but then there's another one here for your mobile phone and watch things from a distance. Now you're not going to do that, are you? Just keep your phone there. Annoying thing though is that there's no USB here in the back. Now you can probably get some as an optional extra. Now you do get those in the back of a Ford Mach-E. In fact, if you'd like to see my Ford video review of that car, put a link, should be popping out in the top right hand corner of the screen. You can click on that and watch that if you'd like to. One thing I can't complain about though is this, look, the rear windows, they go all the way down and they go up and down quite quickly. They make quite a noise. Obviously not so much sound insulation in the doors, or you've got cheap motors, but hey, it's a Skoda. They've got to kind of cut costs somewhere, haven't they? Right, there's a momentary break in the rain, so let's see if I can talk you through the boot before it starts to pour again. It's a big boot. It's got a 585 litre capacity and it's nice and square as well. I'll just put my jacket on because it's cold. And no load lip, so you can just slide stuff straight out. It's my bag, I can't put it on the loose. Can you hold this? Okay, I'll do it with on my back. It's like, get away from me. Actually, we have some extra underfloor storage. Can this fit in there? Come on, don't let me down. No, it can't. Bollocks. This is seeming really haphazard, this review. There's plenty of features in this boot as well I want to show you. You can lower the rear seats from here doing that and that. But you'll probably see there is now a ridge. You think, oh my God, there's a ridge. How do I slide things straight to the front? You can't, it's a bit annoying. Don't worry, they thought of that. You can actually just raise this up a little bit and then you don't have that ridge. Though I don't know why they actually had that feature. They should just have it built like this anyway. It doesn't make much of a difference. Some other features you have, look, you got hooks there, tie down points, extra storage zones here, 12-volt socket for plugging in like a vacuum cleaner for cleaning out the boot. It's all generally pretty good. The only thing that's a bit annoying is the fact that if you want these levers to release the seats from the boot rather than having to walk around, they're an extra. They're almost £300. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the new Skoda Enyaq. There are actually quite a few things on this entry-level Enyaq which are optional. And the things that you'd actually really want as standard, for instance, a heat pump, which costs over £1,000. That actually gives you cabin heating without using too much of the battery's electricity. So you definitely want that, but you have to pay £1,000 extra for it. Then there's the option to charge it up to 100 kilowatts. Now, normally the car can only charge at 50 kilowatts. You're going to want the faster charging facility, but to unlock that, £440. And if you're on an IV universal charging cable up to 32 amps, 645 quid. In fact, this car has a total of £8,000 worth of options fitted to it, taking the price from £32,000 to just over 40. It's a Skoda, not a bloody Audi. Electric cars have a speaker in the front bumper and they emit a noise when they're manoeuvring and driving forward at low speeds. Have a listen to this, you'll hear it. Come on. So that blind people and people who aren't paying attention can hear the car approaching. So if you stop, this car does the same noise when in reverse, makes sense, but for some reason the noise is louder. Listen now. I don't know if you're picking that up, but it's even louder in reverse. Surely it makes sense to have another speaker in the rear bumper to warn people that are behind the car. Seems odd. The Enyaq is a bespoke, built from the ground up electric car with batteries underneath the floor and a motor at the back, which means there's no engine under the bonnet, so clearly they've used that space for extra storage. Yeah, baby! Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe just about enough room to keep my Skoda press information. I don't know what it is with these new Volkswagen Group electric cars, but the brakes make a right creaky old sound when you're manoeuvring slowly. Listen. It's like they're made out of wood. One of the great things about Skodas is that they have these simply clever features, and the best one of all is the ice scraper in the fuel filler cap, because it's really, really handy. Oh. Thankfully, most of the other simply clever features do remain, such as the little feet in the bottom of the cup holders, so you can actually undo a bottle one-handed because it grips the base of the bottle, the holder for your parking permit, and the umbrella in the door like with a Rolls Royce. In fact, Lewis, maybe you should have this because you're going to stay out in the rain for a bit longer. There we go. If you like those trucks that have all like the illuminated lights on the front of them, you're going to like the Enyaq, because you could get an LED lighting package with 130 LEDs to illuminate your grille. Sort of a vajazzle for your grille. This seat fabric, 40% new wool, 60% polyester that's made up from recycled plastic bottles. How's that for something that you can virtue signal about on Twitter? The Enyaq has one of my all-time favourite features that you don't get on every car. Look. The load cover will fit underneath the false floor because there's a special little recessed area for it like that. And that means that I don't have to get and throw it. You can get the Enyaq with augmented reality satellite navigation, so it uses a live feed of the road ahead and superimposes directions over it. Yeah, they totally copied Mercedes-Benz with that idea, but still nice. Right, let's talk about batteries, charging and motors and all that stuff. So this is the entry-level 60, and this car has a 180 horsepower motor that drives the rear wheels. You get a 62 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which gives you a claimed range of 256 miles. You can charge it using your home wall charger, a 7 kilowatt charger, and that'll take about 9 hours. Though if you have the car fitted with the optional rapid charging facility, if you find a 100 kilowatt hour charger, it can go from 0 to about 80% full in just under 40 minutes. The next level up is the 80. That has a 204 horsepower electric motor, once again driving the rear wheels, but then you get an 82 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that gives you a range of 333 miles, once again according to Skoda. You can charge that using a 7 kilowatt home charger in about 13 hours, and to get to 80% full, if you have the 125 rapid charging facility on that car, and you can find a charger that'll do that, it'll take you, once again, under 40 minutes to get to 80% full. And that's all you need to know. It's all a bit confusing. Anyway, what I'm going to do is configure my ideal Enyaq using the carwow configurator, the one I think you should get. I didn't get an offer back from a carwow dealer, and if you want to see what that is, click on the pop-out banner up there to go check it out. Okay, let's see what this Enyaq is like to drive in town, and the first thing I'm going to do is show off one of the benefits of it being an electric car with the motor at the back and no drive shafts going to the front wheels like you would have in a normal SUV from Skoda. See, the car in front of me is the tracking car. It's an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, four-wheel drive. It's actually a three-point turn to get around this mini roundabout, whereas I should be able to just make it like that. There we go. How's that for an illustration for you? Really manoeuvrable. Like that car though, I'm sitting up high, get a good view out. Visibility is pretty good. These pillars are quite fat, so a little bit of a blind spot, but the windscreen is really big and the side windows are big as well. So visibility is good and the view at the back's pretty decent as well. Now, one thing to note though is about speed bumps. When you're going slowly, you don't really feel them that much. They're not bad at all in this car. But because it's quite heavy, so this one weighs about 2 tons, whereas the slightly bigger batteried Enyaqs weigh around 2.3 tons. It's quite a heavy car, which means you have to fit it with stiff suspension to stop it lolloping around in the bends. And so you do feel the bumps a little bit more than you would do in a similar petrol powered car, which generally are lighter. Batteries add weight, and you have to deal with that weight by fitting stiffer suspension, and that means that the cars aren't quite as comfortable as their petrol equivalents. Just whenever I bump down, it's a bit of a thud, thud, thud. There is something good though about the electric cars compared to the petrol equivalents. When you need to pull out, instant power. There's no gearbox having to think about doing its thing. You just get instant power, and you probably heard there loads of stuff rattling around as it shoots to the back as I accelerate away. Generally, this is really nice to drive around town. Pretty easy, pretty comfortable, good view out. and instant response. And of course, no gears to be messing around with. So it's just super smooth, very quiet because there's no engine whirring away. And I like the fact of being able to alter the amount of regen braking by putting on these pedals. So I've got it on maximum, so I don't even have to touch the brake. And then I can put it up to minimum, so I just coast a bit around this bend. Look, I'm just coasting with my foot off the accelerator. And then if I want to slow down, I can just do it that way. I like the fact that I'm interacting with the car and trying to get the most out of its range, because I think that's going to start to interest you when you're driving around town. It's one way that people who are into cars like me can get a little bit more out of electric cars by actually maximising their range. It's good in town, this, like it. Okay, let's try this Enyaq out on some quicker roads, bit of dual carriageway. Cruising along at 70, it's very serene. It's telling me to lift off the accelerator because I'm about to reach a roundabout. Helps you maximise your range yet again. I'm actually going to engage the cruise control. It's got lane keeping assist as well, so it will steer the wheel a little bit to keep me in lane. This is a very comfy car when you're going quicker. It's quiet, it's relaxing. The suspension smooths out actually as you're going quicker. That's what it's like round a roundabout if I chuck it into one. It's got a low centre of gravity because all those batteries are low down, even though it's quite a heavy car, but you can feel it start to struggle a little bit. If you really chuck it around about, it does start to lean quite a lot, and you can feel a lot of pressure being put on that outside front tyre as it's trying to grip. Would I say it's fun? No, it's not fun, but it's adequate. An electric car that's more fun to drive. Oh, I know of one. In fact, if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my in-depth video review of the Tesla Model 3. It is more fun to drive, no two ways about it. Part of the reason for that is that it's lower down. Saloons are just more fun to drive than SUVs with a high centre of gravity. But I'm impressed by this, you know. It does all right. I'm going to launch this car in a moment to find out how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. But before I do, I want to just check the efficiency. I am averaging 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. And this car's battery capacity that's usable is 58 kilowatt hours. So if I do the maths, that means that the range is about 162 miles the way I'm using it at the moment. So quite a bit down from the claimed 256. I am going between roundabouts and doing lots of stopping and starting and getting up to 70 miles an hour, but still, it's not great, but it's not completely awful either. Okay, let's time this car from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Specialist timing gear here, launch. I'm in sports mode. Yes, it has a sports mode. Sharpens the throttle response, adds weight to the steering, and if you have the adaptive dampers, it will also soften the ride or firm it up depending on your mode. So 0 to 60, 7.39 seconds. That's actually pretty zippy for a car such as this. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Skoda Enyaq? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Enyaq. It really is a pretty decent all-round electric SUV. Might not be the most exciting thing to look at, but it should be pretty easy to live with. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and comment and all that kind of thing, because it helps the video rank in the algorithm. And if you don't do it, bad things will happen to you. Yeah, it's kind of like YouTube karma. Speaking of YouTube karma, I came back after testing this car and got asked by the people from Skoda what I thought of it. And I said, you know, one of the bad things about it is that you don't have the eye scraper anymore. At which point they explained that you do, actually. It's just up here. So there's only 4 bad things about this car. I know the 5th bad thing. It's just the guy from Skoda is now very smug. Oh, if you want to watch more videos, click up there. If you click on that box there, you can go to carwow to see how much you can save on a new car.